It is hour number 2 on this Thursday. Welcome back in. This is Three Man Front on Jocks. Pat Landrum, Conrad, Molly with you until 2 o'clock. We've already gone to the Show Me State. Talked to Eli Hoff, gave us a preview of the Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the Missouri Tigers. Speaking of that game, Rodney Orr will join the show in a matter of moments, get his thoughts on this big game for Alabama and Mizzou as these two top 15 ranked teams. First time since 1979 in Como that they have hosted two top 15 teams.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to Rodney about that. To update our listeners who missed it maybe in the last half of the last hour, the line movement we're getting right now in Texas and Oklahoma.
It's very interesting. Conrad and Molly both saw on ESPN Bet that Oklahoma is a 1.5-point favorite. BetOnline.ag live line right this second is Texas minus 1.5. So, if you have an ESPN Bet account and you feel compelled to play something, and if you have a BetOnline.ag account, it's going to be completely different. You can either get 1.5 one way or another.
So if you like Oklahoma, go to betonline.ag instead.
Correct. Because you're getting a 1.5. If you like Texas, then you need to go to ESPN Bet.
Well, speaking of Texas, a guy that spent some time in his past in the state of Texas, gallivanting, right?
Gallivanting, that's a great word. Yes.
Gallivanting some of those honky tonks and wearing the acid wash jeans.
He was a regular at Gillies in Houston.
No, never went there. Never went there.
Now, what was the name of the place in Corpus Christi?
The Windjammer.
Windjammer, that's right.
That's it.
Don't they make like custom motorhomes? Windjammer, is that right?
I thought it was like a
I think
sale.
so, yes.
Really?
I think so.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
I think so.
Same people, I'm sure.
No.
They
Not
just,
even close.
Yeah, they just kind of.
Hey, we've hit it. We've hit a lick in the bar business.
They diversified, Landry.
Let's go into manufacturing.
Yeah. Okay, so before we start breaking down this game, what can you tell us, if anything, about Ryan Williams? Because his name popped up on the availability report last night.
Yeah, I mean, I was told it was, it listed as probable, but I haven't heard anything. I actually talked to someone last night. They didn't mention that, this was an issue that would, can keep him out or limit him or whatever. So I assume, and again, that's assume, he should be okay.
Rodney Orr of Tighter Insider joining us here on Three Man Front. You look at this particular matchup, what you know about Missouri, what you've seen, and what you've seen from Alabama for the first 5 games. What's the biggest matchup in this game?
Well, I think, for Alabama, it's going to be tackling. I mean, I think when you look at Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts, they have a really good 1-2 punch. They're at the running back position. Missouri averages 292 yards a game rushing. I understand, every time we talk about these things on TighterInsider.com, they point out that it's against the number 109 schedule in the country. I get it. But these guys are still good. I mean, they run the ball with, really well. And those backs are really good. And Hardy is over 700 yards already this year. And he is he's hard to get on the ground. He's tough to get on the ground. So I think that's going to be a real key for Alabama. Missouri dominates time of possession. They're about a 37-minute possession time team. So I think that's, really key, getting them off the field, getting them on third downs, winning third downs. All of those things I think are going to be really key for Alabama defensively. And I think going on the road, Alabama has to have balance offensively. We saw some more of that in this last game against Vanderbilt, and it's going to have to carry over with the run game, I think, at Missouri.
In regards to Ty Simpson, he has been quite on a heater. When you start looking at his SEC and national rankings, he's climbing all the national rankings. He's either first, second, in a few categories. He's third in regards to efficiency, yards passing, touchdowns, passing yards per game. What has just impressed you the most since that Florida State game and his maturation process?
Just the way he has the mental toughness, I think it is. Because in that game, there were some moments there where I thought Ty was struggling. just with confidence a little bit, because I don't think the team obviously wasn't playing well around him, but he kept battling through it that day. And I thought that was the most encouraging thing coming out of that game. And then I just think the command and the confidence that he's had, and he's continued to improve. When he's faced adversity, he's overcome it. He's not allowed it to defeat him. So I think that's really the thing, because we talked about this many times throughout the summer, that I always thought that Ty had the physical tools. He could do that, but how would he respond to the ups and downs of the game? And I think that's the one thing that really impresses me, is how he's matured and how he's handled those things.
Rodney, you got new faces on this team. So some of these guys, they were not there to witness the 34-0 shellacking at Bryant-Denny last season. But how much, I guess, anxiety, worry is probably not a great word, but from Kalen DeBoer and maybe just that staff with Tennessee looming, you had a big game last week, the possible letdown with the early kick. Is that a real thing? Is that a real concern with this particular Alabama team?
Well, again, there's some people that say the early kick favors the road team. I don't know. Just talking to some former players that, obviously went through a lot of those early games, they said there's a difference. It's a challenge in these early games. It can be a real challenge. But at the same time, I think, going into this game, focused on the task at hand. And I think that's the one thing that I'm really impressed with, how Kalen DeBoer, since that Florida State game, has managed to keep this team focused on the next task at hand. And so, they had the off week just a couple of weeks ago, so they shouldn't be that worn down physically. They're not too beat up, though they do have some injuries, though, as you know. But so I think going into this game, it's just kind of keeping that focus on where it's supposed to be. And again, I think after the Georgia game, the first thing we heard was, by the time that team hit the locker room, there was no 24-hour rule. They had already started moving towards Vanderbilt. And, supposedly the things we hear really positive about kind of the focus they've had for Missouri this week.
All right, so let's go back to the Georgia game, because the defense in the second half against the Bulldogs, they had to hold on for dear life. They made some adjustments, and they were able to keep them out of the end zone. They got the win. Last week, they got gashed in the early part of the game against Vanderbilt, but, man, the adjustments they made in the second half by Kane Womack and his staff, they shut down Pavia. And that running game that looked so volatile in the first half, it disappeared. What kind of game do you expect the defense to have against one of the best teams, not only in the SEC, but the country, when it comes to running the football in Ahmad Hardy?
Yeah, they really got to lock it down. I mean, like you said, Vanderbilt had 113 yards rushing in the first quarter and 22 the rest of the game. And I know Kane Womack said, on Monday, that, it was just a couple of mistakes that they made that allowed them to get gashed in that first quarter. Defensive lineman taking the wrong slant and such as that alignment here or there. And they kind of tightened those things up. And again, like they shut them down. And Pavia, I think, was 4 of 14 in his last over the stretch, down the stretch of that game. So they did a nice job there. And as your Missouri, I think, again, I mentioned the tackling has to be really on point with these running backs. And I think if you can slow Missouri down, the interesting thing might be, how does the quarterback, Bo Pribula, kind of respond to that? I think he has some really good-looking stats, 75% passer, over 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But he really hasn't been put into a challenging where he had to throw the ball, especially against a quality secondary like Alabama, good defense against the pass for sure. So I think, can Alabama slow them down a little bit and make Pribula have to play quarterback, make him have to throw from the pocket? Now, he is athletic. He can move around pretty well. So I think if they can do that and kind of take them out of their game, it'll be really interesting to see how Pribula would respond to it.
Ronnie, on the flip side, this Alabama-Missouri game, if we remember last year when there were complaints about not giving the running backs enough carries between Justice Haynes and Jam Miller, they had themselves a day, almost 300 yards for Alabama rushing against that Missouri football team. This year, since he's come back, Jam Miller has been nothing short of impressive. How much do you think that Alabama continues to lean on that run game, maybe even more so this week?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and again, the competition that Missouri's faced is a little different, but, they only give up 62 yards a game rushing. They've got some really good defensive personnel. They only give up 203 yards a game total offense. So they've got some really good numbers there. But yes, I do think that obviously Jam Miller, 22 carries last week, 136 yards. You just kind of see some confidence building, I think, in the run game a little bit more. Vanderbilt gave them some things, I think, in the run game and to try to take some things away in the pass game. So that balance is really key. And I think Alabama's got to try to, make that happen this week. It'd be interesting to see what Missouri tries to do defensively to slow down the run game, to kind of make Alabama one-dimensional if they can. But it is, yes, I think anytime you go on the road, being able to run the football is certainly something that can be a major factor.
All right, Rodney, each and every week during this time frame, you give us a prediction for the game. I know you've already done that on Tider Insider TV, but for those that did not see it the other day, what is your prediction for the Tide in Missouri?
Yeah, so I went 33-24 Alabama. That was my prediction. Now, last week, I think I went 45-31 Alabama over Vandy. That
Right.
I was a little surprised it was such a defensive battle,
Yeah.
but turned out that way. But this will be interesting to see, what happens in Columbia.
Oh, it sure will. It should be a really good game as Alabama. It's crazy to think that Alabama has never had the opportunity and put it in the books, 3 straight wins against 3 ranked SEC opponents in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing.
Yeah, but only 4 SEC teams has ever done it, so it's not like,
Yep.
a lot of people's in that club right now. So we'll see what happens. Rodney, always appreciate your time. Look forward to an interesting game up in Como, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.
Thanks, Rodney.
Okay, guys, always appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you. Always the best. Rodney Orr joins us each and every Thursday on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
The Jocks text line is heating up. You firing in your predictions, your criticisms. We're here for all of it. 205-834-9450. 3-man front rolls on this college football and NFL Thursday on Jocks.
We've got time for your calls, your texts on the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. Rob Pate is going to join the show coming up at 11:45. At 12 noon, we're going to go to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and talk to the publisher of Tar Heels 247 and get his feelings and thoughts on this crazy story that's going on about Bill Belichick.
Can't wait for that. Tonight, we do have college football. We also have the NFL. You can always join the NFL on Jocks. But if you're out and about this Thursday evening, get into the Finnick. And hey, Eagles fans, we know that you're out there. Actually, I had no idea there's so many Eagles fans here in Birmingham, but there are. And the Finnick is your place tonight to catch all the action on the video boards, on the big screens, the state-of-the-art sound system you're going to hear at the Finnick. Great place for watching football all weekend long. So Alabama fans, Auburn fans, UAB fans, college football fans, get in there. You can enjoy the great atmosphere, whether it's a live acoustic music, 5:30 to 8, Wednesday through Friday, live bands after 10 there, but all weekend long. It's great football. It's great food. You got to check out the menu. Go to FinnickBham.com, but it's 1630 2nd Avenue South. Get in tonight. Check it out. Eagles fans, they invite you. I guess if you're a Giants fan, that will make it entertaining as well. The Finnick, 1630 2nd Avenue South near Railroad Park.
So let's get to your text at 205-834-9450, because I know many of you have been chiming in on some predictions for the Alabama-Mizzou game, Auburn, Georgia, as well as what's going on with Bill Belichick.
We've got one from Crimson Convict who joined us earlier. 31-27. There's that score again. We got a lot of that for Alabama and Georgia.
Sure did.
CC says 31-27 Bama. If you missed it, Rodney Orr picked Alabama 33-24. Eli Hoff covers Missouri, picked Missouri 34-31. Barrett Sallee, who usually picks against Alabama, picked Alabama to beat Missouri 31-10. So you're caught up to speed. Bama Hater has texted in and says, what is more likely? He asked the question. Bama winning the SEC, the Natty, or neither? I will say Bama winning the SEC.
I mean, I guess technically out of all of those things, you would have to say neither is the most likely. But yeah, if I had to pick between the two, I would go SEC championship before national championship.
Wait, Pat? You have to answer.
What did you say?
I said neither.
He said neither.
I'll go neither.
Okay.
I mean, if you're putting money on it, I would put money on neither.
He didn't say that. You just said go with your heart and what you've seen.
Oh, the national championship.
No. Your answer has been cemented. You can't change it. Mike wants us to ask Rob Pate when he joins us how much a difference a home game weekend makes for his business as opposed to an away. We will certainly ask that. The impact of Sweet Frog. Yeah, it is. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Or Mike, excuse me. Jonathan says Alabama 38, Missouri 17. I could actually see that score.
It'd also be the over.
Do y'all think Missouri will try and use the revenge factor against Alabama for putting in the starters last year to preserve the shutout? I just think 34-0. I don't think it's that aspect of it. I think Eli Drinkwitz and that staff is going to use whoever was there for last year's game. They're going to use that as whatever motivation they can these days.
You're playing for pride. Absolutely.
Well, one thing's for sure, just like what Vanderbilt did last year to Alabama and Nashville, Mizzou is going to do or try to attempt to do the same thing to Ty Simpson. Keep Ty Simpson and the Alabama offense on the sideline. Do not give him an opportunity to score points. So if they can just churn the clock, run the football effectively, then you're talking about a lower scoring game and limited opportunities for Alabama to get the football.
I told you Barrett Sallee picked Alabama. Tim, a big Auburn fan, says, yes, Bama's going to lose. Thanks, Barrett. It doesn't always work that way. Someone predicting Tennessee to beat Arkansas 37-31. Bobby P keeps it close. Mark chimes in. Vandy won't be ranked at season's end. Will Mizzou be ranked? Probably not. I would put money right now that Missouri is ranked by season's end. They do have some tough games. It starts this weekend, but
I could see them
everybody in the SEC.
I could just see them being a team at the end of the year that they're 9-3, They're in the top 25. They go to a bowl game, get 10 wins for the third straight. They're just going to perennially kind of fly under the radar, I think. Unless they win on Saturday.
College football games tonight. We got one in the American. What are your thoughts on Tulane, East Carolina tonight? Tulane minus 6.5, ? I actually like the under in this game.
53.5?
Yep. Tulane stout on defense. East Carolina stout on defense. I'm leaning more towards the under, but yes, if you're going to pick a side, then I would say Tulane minus the 6.5. I like them there at home at Yulman. Bartman says he's got Georgia beating Auburn 31-13. Maybe close, like 17-7 at the half, and UGA pulls away late. Corey predicts that Auburn will win Saturday. Freeze will do just enough to cool off his seat and get an extension, and Auburn will be back to square one for next year. I don't know if that gets the extension just for beating Georgia. Sean says, still see too many coaching concerns to think that this staff won't screw something up. Like going away from the running game when you're gashing, not throwing to the end zone when you're in the red zone, not making sure your defense knows what to do when you make the call, and still running out a sorry field goal kicker. Missouri 35, someone who obviously is not a Bama fan, 17.
I'll say this, if it comes down to a field goal, I like Missouri's chances.
As you should.
So if you're Alabama, don't let it get to that point. It's probably a good strategy.
205-834-9450. We have folks that want to chime in on the SEC slate. Let's go. Gator Jeff. Hello.
Yes. Hey, guys. How y'all doing today? Hi, Molly. I just wanted to say the upset of the day, I think Saturday is going to be Florida over Texas A&M.
Woo.
I say Florida 31, Texas A&M 24.
Oh, wow.
Dallas Wilson going to be a problem.
Yes, he's very good.
He's going to be a real problem. And Florida defense is really good. I think they're going to eat. But the O-line has gotten a little better. And another key for the game for Florida is Jaden Ball. Billy Napier let him run the ball 27 times last week against Texas. That kid, Jaden Ball, is a star. But I think Florida got one of the best receiving corps in the country with Dallas Wilson, Eugene Wilson, Michael J. Sturdivant, and Vernell Brown III, another sensational freshman. This O-line is going to protect Lagway.
Okay.
And Billy coaching for his life.
He is. He's been pretty good in desperation mode so far. Gator Jeff, thank you for the phone call. Thanks for listening, man. Chime in anytime.
That's an interesting line. Florida, 7.5-point underdog.
It's very interesting. Let's go to Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hey, man. How y'all doing today?
Doing great. Hope you are.
Yeah, just first I want to say I'm up here in Huntsville, Northern Alabama, and you guys by far have the best radio sports talk show in the mornings that I listen to. So I tune into you guys every day.
Well, thank you, Joe.
Now, well, before you thank me now, but with that being said, look, I know you guys are SEC homers. I get it.
We are.
And I know. Me being a Big Ten guy, it is what it is. When I moved down here 25 years ago.
Bless your heart.
I know. I want to ask you guys a quick question. You guys have any idea how many players get drafted in the NFL draft?
Total to all rounds?
Yes.
I can get that number for you momentarily.
Isn't it like 260 or something like that?
257.
There we go.
Good job,
so
Conrad.
Do you know how many players were taken between the SEC and Big Ten together?
It would.
That would be 2/3, right?
Yeah.
58%, 150 players. Okay. The SEC had 79 drafted. The Big Ten 71. Okay. So I kind of get sick and tired of this. SEC is put on this pedestal that, every week they just beat each other up and blah. But it's like Big Ten plays nobody, okay? Vandy's been irrelevant except for the last 2 years, Okay, Texas A&M's overrated. They got one good win against a so-called supposedly good Notre Dame team, and we know what happens every year if they get into a playoff. Notre Dame gets beat. Texas A&M's beat Utah State and I think Texas San Antonio. So I agree with the caller who just called before. Florida's going to beat Texas A&M. I will say that. I just want to say that this whole mirage that the SEC is just head and shoulders above the Big Ten. Yeah, maybe 15, 20 years ago, I might be able to, okay. But now, I'm sorry. Michigan beat an Alabama team last year with their 3 top players. Alabama was full staffed, and we still whooped that ass. We beat them in the playoff in the semifinal when they won the national when they won the national championship. So can we please stop with it's SEC up here like Michael Jordan and everybody else is Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? I think them days are done. We got to look at it for what it is. The Big Ten has caught the SEC the last 2 years, national champions from the Big Ten. So can we please just stop all these callers that the Big Ten and ACC, blah. Okay, them days are done, okay?
I don't know if you want to include the ACC in your argument.
And an SEC team will not win the national championship this year. I will promise you that. And I'm going to say this, Michigan, I'm a Michigan guy. They are not going to – they will not win the championship this year. They may or may not get into the playoff this year. But I'm telling you, next year, you can put my name down, mark it down. Michigan will win back-to-back national championships starting next year.
Whoa.
Love y'all show, and even if you don't agree, I'll continue to listen.
Hey, Joe, that's fine. We don't get butthurt about that kind of stuff.
Big Ten.
That's what we're here for, and Molly loves it.
Molly has just
disgust me.
She just sent me something. This has to be an error. It has to be.
The thing I sent you?
It has to be.
Did you see the date on it?
Yeah.
I think it's real.
Go ahead, explain.
Is it Sasquatch?
No.
I wish it was.
So one of my favorite features on Twitter is the save button. Not necessarily the like button, but the save button, because you can go back and, look at some stuff pretty easy. And I found a post that I had saved from January 28th, 2025. And it was the 2026 college football playoff projection per ESPN's FPI.
This is FPI from January.
Wait, so this is for next year's playoff or this year's?
No, this was this year's.
This is for this year's technically, but this was posted in
January of 2025.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll go through the different rounds, I guess. So you have the 8 and 9 game being Michigan and Ohio State. Talk about a first-round playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
The 5-12 matchup was Alabama-Boise. The 7-10 Notre Dame LSU. The 6-11 Texas and North Carolina.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Then you have the 8-1 being Michigan, Georgia. The 4-5 Louisville and Alabama. The 7-2 Notre Dame and Penn State. The 3-6 Utah and Texas. And then in, I guess, the Final Four, you would have Georgia and Alabama on one side, and then Penn State and Utah. And then you have a Georgia-Penn State national championship with Penn State winning it all.
Never bring up FBI on this show ever again.
Never again.
Is that not something else?
I just like how North Carolina's in there.
Yeah, you got Carolina in there as an 11 seed, but Penn State would beat Georgia in the national championship game.
I just thought that was funny.
That is, wow.
I keep receipts.
Yeah.
Very much so. We will continue on this Thursday. Rob Pate will join us in about 15 minutes. This is Three Man Front on Jocks. It's 11:34. Welcome back in to Jocks. This is Three-Man Front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad. We will go down to Auburn coming up in about 10 minutes from now. Rob Pate, former Auburn DB, will join the program as we will discuss the big game coming up between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Auburn Tigers. We played you a cut earlier in which Kirby Smart was talking about the NIL situation. Georgia was actually offered the game. They declined, so they pivoted to Auburn, and then Auburn decided to move the Baylor game to Atlanta for next season. Well, earlier this week on Monday, take a listen to this back and forth between a reporter. No, it was not Mike Griffith, but another Georgia reporter asked a very interesting question to Kirby Smart about ABC Television's Jesse Palmer.
Kirby, Jesse Palmer on the air Saturday said Georgia's defense needs more creativity on third downs. Seems to have guys lined up on most third downs in the same spots. Is that a fair assessment?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Jesse. I'm happy for Jesse. I'm glad he makes a living getting to make those decisions. I focus on what gives us a chance to be successful, play well, execute well, who's in the game, what strategy do they have on offense? Are they going fast? Are they going slow? I don't concern myself with it much.
He's happy for Jesse. He's really happy.
That was a great answer. I liked it.
I don't concern myself.
See, I thought he was going to go why do I care what the Bachelor has to say about, my defense? Something along those lines.
Or he's not going to stoop that low, but.
Or he could have said, I don't really care what a Canadian quarterback has to say because the only thing they do in Canada really well.
That's a Pat Smith response if I've ever heard one.
No, I was going to say, I don't care what a Canadian quarterback has to say about my good old Southern American football team because the only thing they do in Canada is beat the Yankees in baseball. That's the only thing that I would have said. Did you know we've gone 16 years since the Yankees have won a World Series title? 16 years.
Yeah, it only took us an hour and a half.
I mean, that thing turned around quick right there. Yeah. It's been a minute.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
All under Cashman as the GM. No World Series titles.
Yeah, fire him.
0.
Fire him.
Not a 1.
That lineup, you go and you pillage starting staffs from around the league. You take our baby face, you bring him up there.
This is what happens when your entire front office, their spines are made of Jell-O. So, unfortunately. But I have to give a shout-out because I texted this to Pat last night as I was watching the postgame show in my misery. Credit to A-Rod and Derek Jeter because they sat there on live television and called out the Yankees front office for being a bunch of you-know-whats.
Puds.
Yeah, and I applaud them for doing that. Maybe they'll actually listen to two of the greatest players to ever wear a Yankees jersey, but whatever.
So back to Kirby.
Yes, please.
Sorry.
Back to somebody else, something else.
I had to get that in.
I know.
Yeah.
Took me a minute to get there, but I walked all the way around the house.
It's part of the it's part of the healing.
Yeah, Molly was making fun of me the second she walked in the door this morning.
I was.
Well,
careful, young lady.
Yeah.
Got a
No,
big
I
one
was just
tomorrow.
making fun of him because we are still alive technically.
Technically.
Just saying.
Where's Game 5?
Seattle.
You want me to take a shot at her team now?
Yes.
You want me to do that?
Yeah.
I've heard it all.
Let's do it.
Well, this is going to be an angle that you were not ready for. Do you know how many people showed up to the game last night?
No.
It was the worst attended playoff game in the history of Comerica Park.
Oh.
Didn't
great.
even draw 40,000. 30-something thousand. Empty seats galore.
It's all fun. We're all
People
Tigers
are
fans
done.
when we're having day games and we can drink and not go to work.
Yep.
Well, I guess in their defense, I pretty much thought we were going to lose. So.
They were all passed out.
Yeah.
Back to Kirby.
Yeah.
See, now we're even.
So in 2012, a lot of people may or may not know this, but 2012, he's the defensive coordinator at Alabama. Gene Chizik is fired at Auburn. He wants an interview to be the next head coach at Auburn. As we all know what happened, Gus Malzahn ended up getting the job, took Auburn to the national championship game. So Philip Marshall, who has covered Auburn for, 40, 50 years?
Yes.
I'm not exaggerating.
No, he was there in the 70s, wasn't he?
Late 70s, I believe. Okay. He writes for Auburn Undercover. And so he wrote a piece this morning detailing exactly what took place and why Kirby Smart did not get the job at Auburn. He says that the committee's initial top choice was Jimbo Fisher at Florida State, who had sent word that he wanted the job at Auburn. But when the time came, he didn't return calls. He finally had an assistant coach call and tell the Auburn committee he didn't want to leave Florida State. So go ahead and mark him off the books. So there's Kirby Smart. Kirby had strong backing of former head coach Pat Dye and powerful trustee Jimmy Rain. And Kirby Smart wanted the job. Smart made no demands to see any records of the NCAA investigation into the Cam Newton saga because that was currently going on during that time. He thought that it was just a formality. He told people after the fact that he realized that during the interview that he needed to sell himself, that it wasn't a formality because he was the Alabama defensive coordinator, that he was going to be automatically tapped to be the next head coach at Auburn. So Smart did a good job of doing that. And in the end, only one sticking point remained about him becoming the next head coach at Auburn. It was whether or not he would coach Alabama in the national championship game. Jay Jacobs could not swallow that. He couldn't see the Auburn coach wearing crimson and coaching Alabama in the national championship game. Smart felt like it was his duty to stay with Alabama and see it through. So that is why, according to Philip Marshall, as Smart has said publicly and privately, that he remained at Alabama until he was named Georgia head coach in the 2015 season. Smart, by the way, said he understood there is not and there were not any hard feelings moving forward. So Kirby Smart.
Thank God he did not go to Auburn.
So Auburn fans, the next time you see Jay Jacobs, tell him thank you for picking Jay Jacobs and his feelings over the future of a program.
I have even more respect for Kirby Smart now, knowing that he turned down the Auburn job to stay with Alabama in a national championship game they won. But Lane Kiffin decided he would go to FAU and abandon us before a national championship
game.
Let
me back up a second. I know it's revisionist history, but there's a very good reason why.
Yes, okay, I understand that.
that we cannot get into.
No, but that doesn't fit my narrative right now, Pat.
No, it does not fit your narrative, but I do want to be truthful here because this was not under his own volition.
No.
This was.
I know, he was told to get out. But
yeah,
still.
I mean, it was pretty much say, we're going to find Steve Sarkisian and somebody else is going to call plays in the national championship game because it will not be you. So. But anyway, just a part of history that I found extremely fascinating. I also know that Kirby Smart interviewed for the Southern Mississippi job, and that interview did not go well. Now think about that. So could have been the Southern Miss head coach. He wasn't. Stayed at Alabama. Could have been the Auburn head coach. But Jay Jacobs would not allow him to be the head coach of Auburn because he was determined, because of his loyalty to Nick Saban in Alabama during that time frame, he was going to coach in the national championship game. So there you go.
God's timing stays undefeated.
You better believe it.
Things work out for a reason.
That's right.
We will talk to Rob Pate next, get his feelings, predictions about this weekend's game against Georgia. This is 3-Man Front on Jocks. 11:45 back on Jocks. This is Three Man Front. Rob Pate's going to join us momentarily. Top of the hour, we're going to go to North Carolina, find out what's going on with Bill Belichick. It's just a continuing story that gives the local media up there plenty to talk about, and those of us that cover it nationally just kind of scratch your head going, man, this seems like this is going to end very poorly. 51 days left, and the season is over with for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Brett Norsworthy also will join the program at 12:30. We'll get his I Ain't Scared Bold prediction, which last week he told you on this show, take Florida straight up.
He did.
Against the Texas Longhorns. Just saying.
He did. A guy who knows all about the Deep South's oldest football rivalry, Auburn and Georgia. It is former Auburn defensive back Rob Pate, and he joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Dr. Pate, how are you today?
I'm great, guys. How are y'all?
Doing wonderful. We're going to get into the matchup, but first, the announcement of Auburn moving the home game to Atlanta for NIL purposes versus Baylor next season. How much impact does that have on a business owner like you there in Auburn at Sweet Frog?
It'll have a tremendous impact, a detrimental one that, you're losing a massive amount of people coming into town and students that will leave and people in town that will leave to go to Atlanta and spend money in that community and around in and around the Atlanta metro area. And, there's only so many quality home games that you have an opportunity to host, and to give those away, it hurts. I mean, that's I'm not a fan of it. I've never been a fan of the neutral site games, and even as a player, I much rather enjoy playing, in somebody else's place, and that kind of feeling of going in as that's against the world mentality, but then also being able to see all the campuses and what this conference and what these other locations are like. But this is my first time as a business owner to have to go through an experience like that in Auburn. And it's going to affect everybody from businesses and the community, and it'll have a major economic impact. It's detrimental to many people that depend on that.
Rob, let's talk about a game that's still going to be played at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and that's going to be the Georgia Bulldogs coming in. This conference is a gauntlet. I don't think anybody, if you say, okay, well, this is by far the best team in the conference, just give it a week, and it's probably going to change. Just your keys to the game for Auburn to get that first win in conference play against a Georgia team that is very beatable.
Are they? They're beatable for us, man. I hate to be downer, but even Conrad was asking how I feel. I haven't felt good about the Georgia game in 2 decades. I mean, it's been
well,
so lopsided. It's been so lopsided, and even when Auburn had the superior team, we find ways to play poorly in those games and just not finish. I think probably a couple things. What I just said, finishing, being a team that learns how to win. We just have lost so many close games over the last several years that it's a mentality that grows, and a culture of not knowing how to finish a game. And, some teams you can see when it's close, you just know that they're going to make the plays to get it done. And other teams, when it's close, you're just waiting for the bottom to fall out. And we've been the latter, unfortunately, having an offense that it looks like the other offenses that you watch on Saturdays. I mean, you see so many people that are so confident with the forward pass, and you're like, man, they make it look so easy. And for it to be such a struggle to not get guys in positions to make plays. So just having some creativity, hopefully spent over the bye week of finding ways to get your playmakers the ball in space, pushing the ball downfield vertically. We just have not seen that and been competent with that. So, I think those are probably the two most, and then just setting your offense up in good positions, like we did at Texas A&M, with an interception that you returned down to the 1 yard line. Having those opportunities, you just got to have that for this offense to get some life.
How realistic is it, Rob? Because you played the game and you've been a part of weekly preparations, even when you have an extra week to get ready built in. But how likely is that Hugh Freeze, with this personnel, with this particular team on the offensive side of the ball, he and that offensive brain trust can get it to looking so much differently than what we saw in the Oklahoma and Texas A&M game?
I think it depends on the coaching staff and what they're able to implement week to week. Because yes, I played on teams at Auburn that looked totally anemic on offense one week, and then go to Georgia and Athens and score 31 points and a half. And it has everything to do with an attacking mentality. It's finding matchups that favor you and exploiting them. It's not wasting downs. It's using some tempo. I mean, it's just going into your creativity bag and not doing the same things that have gotten you beaten. And I think the frustration with the Auburn folks is that it looks the same every week. If we line Cam Coleman up in the backfield at tailback and then motioned him out, and then we started dictating who's covering him instead of letting the defenses dictate it to us, then I think people would say, at least we're trying. At least it looks different, but it just looks the same. And you combine that with an offensive line that's got more starts in college football than any other offensive line in the country, and they still struggle. It just you just start saying, man, we just don't look prepared for the moment. And so if we can get prepared for the moment, then I think we can play with anybody. But you just haven't seen it enough to trust that it's going to happen.
Rob, you're a defensive guy. You played DB for Auburn. You're very successful at that position. What have you seen from the defensive side of the ball? If the offense can come around, do you believe that the defensive side can obviously shore things up and get some more wins for the Auburn Tigers on the second half of the season?
Yeah, defensively, I think we've played above our heads and have been better than most anticipated, especially along the front and really, truly at linebacker. The transfer from LSU, Atkins, he's been phenomenal, and Coach Durkin is a guy that has a great plan. I mean, those guys play up to his expectations, and if they don't, they're not out there. But he's done an outstanding job of getting the most out of that unit, and at some point as a defensive guy, and I've been on teams this way as well, that you play hard, you look up, and you're a defense, and you're in the top 20, 15, 10 in the country, and yards per game and points allowed, and then your offense is so anemic, and you're just like, man, I mean, you just lose a little bit of gas each time you're out there on the field, and you're like, man, we're getting you the ball, we're setting you up with opportunities to score, and we're floundering, and it's all for nothing. And so you lose a little bit of that edge, and you don't want to see that happen this early. And so those guys are still battling. They just need that offense to take advantage of field position and momentum and opportunities, and cash in on some of these scoring opportunities so that defense keeps playing at a high level.
Former Auburn defensive back Rob Pate joining us on Three Man Front and joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You're tuned in, former player. You got business there. You're an eye doctor there. How restless are the natives right now with Hugh Freeze?
I would say significantly. I would say that it's pretty bad as far as what expectations were, because I think this was the first year going in that even Coach Freeze himself admitted that I've got a talent layer to my roster that we should be able to be competitive to win this league, and they've been competitive, but they can't get over the hump on the road and in these big games, and just haven't beaten the people you have to beat to be a team that competes for that championship. And so, I know everybody knew that this stretch was going to be Auburn's toughest. I think that just the way it looked offensively has just left a sour taste for a lot of people. But Auburn has struggled with Georgia, and if you want to make amends with the Auburn people,